Railroads are definitely not the place to relax. You have to be extra careful not to end up in a situation like a scene from Mission Impossible 7. Today, we're going to show you the biggest train collisions and mistakes ever caught on camera. Brace yourselves. Some maniac left a bike on the tracks, and here's the result. An SUV with a trailer got stuck on the tracks, and then suddenly, boom! The good news? The driver got out just in time, so no one was hurt. A bus broke down right on a crossing, but luckily the driver was waiting for help outside. Chilling footage of a passenger train crash in Hungary. I definitely wouldn't want to be a passenger on that ride. The derailment of freight cars looks absolutely insane. This looks like a cross between a toy train set and the real deal.
Of course that's just gonna happen.
The fail of the year, dozens of Harry Potter fans waited for hours to see the Hogwarts Express, only to have their view blocked by a regular train. At first, I thought train drivers can act like deer in the headlights. But then I remembered it's the dispatchers who control the trains, so maybe the deer are somewhere in that office. When a train collides with a semi-truck, the train always wins. A guy with a trailer makes a fatal mistake driving onto the tracks. Fortunately, only the trailer got damaged. A Belarusian train derailed and its second part spun around, leaving cars on different tracks. The most reliable railway in the world. A pantograph under high voltage put on quite the light show. A diesel locomotive blows out its exhaust stack. You definitely can't call this an eco-friendly sight. This tanker rolled downhill while being loaded with oil. The police blocked every crossing along the way, and the station workers scrambled to use anti-slip measures. Northern Paraná, Brazil, November 2, 2022. A pedestrian waits for a freight train to pass, but suddenly, something goes wrong, and a dozen cars start tipping over away from the terrified man. This is the view from a train driver's cabin. The train is speeding down the tracks, and a truck ahead tries to risk crossing. The driver honks, but the truck keeps going. The crash is so real, you feel like you're behind the controls yourself. The truck driver's luck? Impressive. His brain power? Not so much. Several freight train cars derail right before drivers' eyes and destroy a crossing. Luckily, the train was only going 7 to 10 miles per hour. This train definitely ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time. In September 2023, Madrid experienced its heaviest rainfall in 30 years, so bad that even the metro system couldn't handle it, trapping passengers in a watery mess. They were later rescued, but it wasn't a pleasant experience. In London, a swan's 2-hour stroll along the tracks brought the underground to a halt. The bird proved to be elusive, but eventually it was coaxed off the rails and handed over to volunteers. Guess the feathery passenger didn't manage to buy a ticket to the nearest lake. Take your time, ma'am. I'll wait. One reason for an emergency tram stop? A manhole cover bouncing around from strong wind and pressure changes, not Ninja Turtles as some of you might think. While we're annoyed by the sound of trams outside, people in Ocala, Florida, hear this and don't seem to mind. Is this a car-train hybrid? At least it can drive around obstacles. As a 6-year-old, I'd have been thrilled to find out there's a fire truck train. By the way, this is in Belgium if anybody wants to see it in real life. The Sandowling Railway in China is famous for this train that puts on an incredible show with a million sparks. I hope the coal it's carrying doesn't turn to ash before reaching its destination. Think only humans ride the subway? Think again. I would not want to drive in Azerbaijan. It feels like this girl tried to pull a prank on the train driver. Good thing he managed to stop in time. The driver lost his equipment and trailer due to his own foolishness. It's unclear who this traffic light was flashing for. Another moment where you just want to say, "Too bad trains can't turn." No, this isn't the road to hell. It's just the grisly self-propelled train grinding out small defects in the rails. October 10, 2022, São Paulo. Everything seemed fine until the freight cars began tipping over one by one, derailing the train and frightening the bystanders. Who can count how many cars derailed here? Let us know in the comments. Seems like just a regular train, except for one small detail. Is this a train or a ship? A Great Western Rail train clears the tracks in Saskatchewan, Canada, leaving behind fountains of snow. Canadian trains are about as scared of snow as penguins are of the cold. You see the tracks here? Neither do I. These are the former railway tracks of a gold mine in Indonesia, now turned into a daily transport route by locals. Safety first. Smart people say that rail sagging under a moving train is normal, but honestly, it looks a bit worrying.
You know, if you're gonna something all the way up.
Strong winds flipped containers during loading. I wonder how many people lost their jobs that day.
Go straight it.
A plane isn't exactly what you'd expect to see at a railway crossing. In Istanbul's metro, a drill mistakenly bored through not just the ceiling, but also the tracks. Looks like the driller got a little carried away. There are plenty of ways to wash your train. Or like this. In New York, a crew was seriously trying to push a 9-meter-long piece of rail into the subway. The surprising part isn't the rail, it's how the other passengers helped without asking any questions.
Oh, and everybody helping. See, that's New York right there.
My.
The Thirukural Express crosses the Penna River, which had flooded so badly it nearly reached the tracks.
This is too much.
A storm in Russia destroyed the tracks, and train passengers feared they'd meet the same fate. People, maybe you should step a little further back. Passengers had just gotten off the bus that got stuck, and then suddenly, a driver who ended up on the tracks at the wrong time lost his car but managed to save his health. When you decide to follow the GPS a little too closely. This locomotive slightly overdid it trying to catch up with its train cars. In a Ukrainian street, a drifting tram was spotted, and just look at how far it slid. And here are the consequences. Luckily, no one was inside or outside the tram, and the driver only got a scare. The cause? A crack in the rail it hit. The situation isn't great, but it sure looks like they're dancing to music. When you work as a truck driver, this definitely isn't the news your boss wants to hear. This is what happens when a train driver deals with cars parked in a no parking zone. He warned him. An SUV drove past the barrier, and here's the result. People got out just in time. A brutal collision between a freight train and locomotives in Switzerland. I'm surprised things like this happen in such a safe country. Here's another loading fail. A whole rail car comes off the tracks. The attempt was good. The result, not so much. And here's an example of why you shouldn't mess with trains. Fortunately, the driver wasn't injured. This driver never learned to check the rearview mirrors, and here's the result. A dog's paw got stuck between the rails, and several railroad workers carried out a real rescue operation just before the train passed. Everyone's heart stopped when this guy put himself in front of a train to save a dog at the station. A truck with an excavator got stuck on the rails and stopped an entire train. Fortunately, no one was injured. The driver didn't consider that the bridge was too low. Why do these trick lovers always test their luck so close to the roads? The truck driver wanted to get over the railway at the very last second. I think he must have used his entire quota of luck.
Nope.
People aren't looking at the girl as if she's foolish, as is often the case in such situations, but are doing their best to help her. A cement truck got caught on the tracks because of a barrier, but luckily it was lifted just in time and no one got hurt. A man in a wheelchair got stuck on the tracks as the barrier came down, and just look at how many people jumped in to help him. That was the final moment of our compilation. Check out our previous videos and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss anything. See you next time.